Hello and welcome to Culture Shark, a live stream about all things pop culture. I'm Final Monkey.
And I'm Caleb.
I'm Wreckship 85.
That's right, we got our good friend Rexship85 here with us today, and that's because we'll be discussing the Disney Plus series, Daredevil Born Again. I almost called it the Netflix series, but that's not right. So this is the Daredevil was originally a Netflix series that ran for 3 seasons, and they had a crossover with the other Marvel Netflix shows that was Defenders, and then we had Jessica Jones, we had Luke Cage, and Iron Fist, and Punisher.
Yes.
Mhm.
So Daredevil ran for 3 seasons, and then it's been quite a few years since we've had anything other than his appearance in Spider-Man: No Way Home.
And She-Hulk.
He was in She-Hulk.
She-Hulk,
We don't
that's
talk
right,
about that.
that's right. So, um, yeah, I know people are excited to see Daredevil again. So the way we do this is we will do a non-spoiler, just kind of what our thoughts were of the show overall, our rating, and then we'll get into spoilers. So I'm gonna start with Caleb, and then we'll go to Rexship 85, and then my opinion. So Caleb, take it away. What were your thoughts on Daredevil Born Again?
So just non-spoilery. If we're to compare this to the Netflix series, which I
Mhm.
think is just natural, I don't think this is as good as season one or season three. I do think this is better than season two. I really did enjoy this. There are times, and we'll get into it, where you can tell that this is this was once going to be a god awful show. Um, and you can definitely you can see the cracks. I think they're hidden pretty well, pretty all right. But it's also one of those things where you can also tell the episodes that they wrote later that are just much better than other episodes. And with that being said, I know that season two is going to be completely new stuff, not stuff that they scrapped from the overhaul. So I have complete faith in the second season to possibly be the best thing that we've gotten from the MCU Daredevil.
Right. So 1 out of 10, what would you rank it? 10 being the
Uh,
lowest.
I would give this one probably an 8.5.
All right. Wreckship 85.
Oh,
What
and
were you?
to
Oh, go
give
ahead.
to give perspective, the first season of Daredevil, that's a 9.5 or a 10. Just so that way people know where that's at.
Okay. And you've seen all the Netflix stuff, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Wreckship, take it away.
Yeah, so this, I had really high hopes for this. I didn't expect it to be as good as the Netflix stuff because it's Disney Plus, and just historically, it's not as good as other things, in my opinion. Uh, Overall, this show was such a mixed bag for me. Like Caleb said, I agree with Caleb's assessment of where to place it among the other Netflix seasons. That's pretty fair. Uh, this show, when it's good, it's great. When it's bad, it's awful. And when it's mid, it's really mid. It's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, yeah.
It just,
So,
there's such,
yeah, go ahead.
we'll probably get into it more, but there's, the tone is just such a jagged up and down for me constantly. And it kind of I don't say ruins it, but like it just kind of, it throws you off. You don't know whether you're going to get a serious episode or a lighthearted episode, honestly.
I think there's only one episode that doesn't need to exist, but we'll get there.
Yeah, I agreed. Uh,
So, 1 out of 10, what do you want to rank it?
I'd rank it a solid 7.5. There's a lot of good, but there's just too much mid and too much bad for me to really put it much higher.
Okay. Um, I have had a super stressful week, and Those who know me, if I am sick or having a bad week and I'm having to watch something that I'm like being forced to watch, it affects my viewing. So I might come down on this harder than I probably should on a rewatch. I'm just giving y'all the heads up.
You're going to.
Um, so
No! As soon as you sent me,
thumbnail.
the thumbnail, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a rough stream.
Yeah. So yeah, I did not finish the Netflix Daredevil. I watched season 1 and 2. I watched one season of Jessica Jones, and I think Luke Cage is what lost me. And I was out after that. I didn't watch any more after that. So, um, I did watch a little recap of Daredevil season 3 before I watched this, so I knew a little bit what was going on. Um, I found this kind of all over the place, and this is kind of light spoilers. The first episode does feature a lot of familiar faces from the Netflix series, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the stuff I like. And then they took all that away from me, and it's like, here's all these other characters that I don't care about, and I have to hang out with these people for several episodes. And so, oddly enough, the episode everybody hates was where it kind of started turning around for me a little bit.
See,
I
that's how you know, man. Like,
well, and to be fair, I had been spoiled on the Funko Pop reveal already. Like, I already knew all that stuff was going to be in there, so I went in not getting sidelined by that like everybody else did. I just enjoyed it as a silly cliche bank episode, heist, robbery, whatever. And then from there, I started enjoying the show a little bit more. I liked the stuff with the hunting for the serial killer and stuff, and I started liking it more. And then I got frustrated again towards the end. So I I'm trying to be generous. I'm at somewhere around a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. This just was not my thing. I felt like I was trying to just go. I had to keep reminding myself this is a show based on a comic book, and not because I was like, oh, the police wouldn't do that, or oh, the court case wouldn't do that, or this or that, or whatever. I kept getting frustrated with the writers of the show, and so I had to kind of let that go. So just go with the show, just enjoy it, and so I gave it a 6.57. I'm probably the weakest right out of all of us. And then there's stuff I liked. I thought Punisher when he showed up, anytime he showed up was great. Each scene with Punisher was great.
Mhm.
I didn't mind the Muse villain. I thought the scenes with Kingpin were fun. So let's get into spoilers now. We've given our ranking and stuff. So let's switch to spoilers. So from what I understand, the showrunner got fired halfway through production or something, and they brought in like the showrunners from The Punisher to kind of fix it up, and they kind of did the first episode and like the last two episodes, and then kind of added scenes here or there to kind of try to salvage what was already filmed. Is that right?
sort of. So the first episode completely new.
Right.
Um, the second episode was the premiere of the old show.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, 2 through 7 was 1 through 6 originally.
Yeah. And it's not completely like they definitely edited it differently. It is spliced together. They did some reshoots. I think that the only episode that is completely intact from that old show is the bank heist episode,
I
because
would say so. It feels like it's not connected to anything.
yes.
Mhm.
I don't know what the
um,
point of the gym was. I don't know who they were working for. I know nothing.
um, so yes, so there's that. And then So the weirdest thing is that Foggy was not originally in the show at all. Essentially, Foggy and Karen were both supposed to die, not mentioned at all. Like he was gonna like his friends had died, and that's why he's not Daredevil anymore. But they were never going to be named. Bullseye was not going to be in the show at all. Vanessa was going to have a very it was a different actress, and she was going to be a nothing character.
What?
I don't know what this show is going to be about. I
It was
don't know.
gonna,
I mean, if you look at the She-Hulk episode, I think you kind of get a hint of the type of show it was going
yeah,
to
it
be.
was
Yeah.
gonna be more in that vein of like a haha funny
Yeah.
fourth wall somehow.
Yeah,
So,
I think that I think that Muse was going to end up being a bigger thing than he ended up being. I think Muse was going to be an entire season, is my
so
guess.
disappointing about Muse.
Yeah.
So I did not. Okay, let's talk about Muse for a second. I did not know this character at all. So I watched the show not knowing about Muse, and I was like, okay, that's fine. He's not the biggest threat, but he is interesting. So then I looked up the actual character. I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
what did they do to this
Yeah, right?
character?
Yeah. No. Here's the biggest thing is like, I would love it if people, and all respect to Frank Miller and his Daredevil, I wish people would read other stuff. Like Charles Soule's Daredevil is fantastic, and that's where Muse comes from. And so I love that we're pulling from it. Like I hate the fact that we're pulling from newer stuff for like every other Marvel project, but the fact that we're pulling from newer stuff for Daredevil, I'm kind of down with, and I wish we would do that more. And I wish that we would do it better.
So let me bring up the other villain, Bullseye. I did not see Daredevil season 3, so all I got of Bullseye was the fight at the beginning of the first episode, and then him escaping and you know taking a shot at Fisk, and that's it. That's all. That's all I know of Bullseye from this show. I thought he was a terrible character. He was not the character from, other than his escape, where he spit the tooth at the guy or whatever.
Mhm.
That was the only time that felt like Bullseye. The rest of the time, I was just like, I don't know who this character is. He doesn't have that sadistic charm that the comic book character has.
Yeah, and honestly, that is probably less on the show and more just the fact that I know I told you that you didn't need to watch season 3, but like you're gonna have stuff like that happen. Like if you want that Bullseye, that's
Mhm.
season 3.
Yeah.
So he does act like that in the Netflix show then.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
and the thing is whenever season 2 comes out, I think we will probably be getting back to that as well. Like Bullseye's like barely in this show anyway, so like there's really not much to go off of. Like if
Right.
this
And what this show did cause me to do is it made me want to go watch Daredevil season 3. If anything,
Yeah.
it was like I need to go watch something that's a little bit better put together and flows better, and
Mhm.
so
Which
I think
Yeah.
Daredevil season 3 would probably scratch
Which,
that itch.
which fun fact, Daredevil season 3 is technically more Born Again than this show is.
Yeah.
This show is actually probably more. There's some Bendis in here. There's some Soul in here. A lot of Zdarsky, and we don't know it yet, but there's probably a lot of Brubaker in here as well. Because the theory that Foggy is not dead, but he is in witness protection program.
Interesting.
That is a Brubaker storyline.
That would make me happy because I was very frustrated that they killed off Foggy.
Yeah.
And this was when Karen shows up, and I guess it was episode 8, maybe it was episode 9, I can't remember when she shows up. I was like, oh good, a character I like is back. It was just all of a sudden my spirits rose. I was like, okay, cool. We're getting back to the good stuff.
It is the weirdest thing. So as a Daredevil fan, like from the comic books, it's like, yeah, end all be all, Elektra is the love of his life. In anything else, it's Karen. Like it's and I don't have like an argument against that, because like Deborah Ann Wall is just so good. And their chemistry is just off the chart.
Oh, I noticed an Easter egg. I don't know if you guys know this. Um, in the bank heist episode, the assistant manager of the bank, that's Kamala Khan's dad. I don't know if you know this.
So here's the thing. Uh,
Kamala
whenever
Khan, the hero of New Jersey.
whenever whenever that episode finished, I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's if it's a one shot, it's a one shot, whatever. But the thing is, it's actually like it, they bring it up a lot in the show. Like they bring up the fact that he was like in a bank, like there was an entire bank thing that happened. I was like, okay, so this is not a skippable episode. This episode should not exist. They should they should have just not done this episode. They should not make any mention to it because at if anything, this is the episode that causes the um,
I think,
inconsistencies in
think
tone.
the only callback to the episode I can think of for the rest of the show is right at the end when that Asian cop lady is one of the quote defenders. Of the bar.
Um,
I
there's
think that's it.
there's multiple. They do it at least once an episode.
They do? Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. They keep
They
bringing it up. You're like, oh, you haven't been the same since the bank robbery. Blah 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 blah.
yeah, and Heather keeps talking about how
Oh.
his the fact that he's been so distant is because of the trauma that he's gone through because of that robbery, and no, that it's unfortunate that it is a
Just blocked it out there because it's so
Yeah.
bad to me.
yeah. So I. And it's one of those things that I probably give this show more credit because I see what we could have gotten, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the fact that this show is as good as it is a miracle considering
Mhm.
what we
Oh,
could
I
have
would agree
gotten.
with that. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's probably better than most
Yeah,
of the Disney Plus Marvel shows. Of course, I haven't
I
seen too many of them,
yeah,
but
I would say
Speaking of that,
it's I don't think it's better like if we take it as Born Again and not as season 4. If we take it as Born Again, this show is not better than WandaVision or Loki, probably better than most other ones though.
okay. I still love Werewolf by Night. I'll still defend
Oh,
that to my
I don't count that as a show. That's its own thing, and that's the best thing that Marvel's done since Endgame.
Yeah.
Werewolf by Night is I need more of that, which apparently we are going to be getting a special presentation for the Punisher at some point, so that's going to be cool too.
Yeah. I wonder if it'll be Frankencastle. So if like, it's
No.
gonna be their Halloween special.
No. It's gonna be the origin of Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Yeah,
They're gonna
that
send him to
would be
space.
great too.
I love
That'd be awesome.
Um,
So I'm gonna list a couple things I did not like.
okay.
The BB Man on the Street segments drove me crazy.
Oh,
Every time
that
they
is.
would cut to those, it was so cringe.
Yeah.
Oh, I disagree 100%. Those are some of the best parts. Absolutely. Like,
To
and
me, it felt like the whole character, her whole character was just there to be like, hey guys, remember Kingpin killed her uncle? That was crazy, right?
that's not the way I saw it. The way I saw it as their version of the talking head segments from Dark Knight Returns, because like it's kind of like how you have like YouTubers or even people on Comedy Central, like Daily Show or Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, where they like go on the street and like interview people because like we don't have to get into the politics of it, because I feel like if we get into the politics of it, then this will be a completely different discussion. But that is something that that is something that
Let me rephrase.
mm,
I don't mind the Man on the Street segments in theory. It was that
mhm.
they were done so poorly, and so it looked fake. It looked cheap. It didn't look. It didn't feel real. None of it felt real. It just felt staged, which of course, is not real people on the street, but it just just every time that I saw that clipboard, I was just rolling my eyes. You know,
It
the
Yeah, that
it felt like she was doing like a true crime podcast or something.
it just didn't
I
feel
mean,
authentic, and I do like the idea of um some, I did like the Daniel character a lot. I like that he kept screwing up and leaking stuff, like he would say too much to her, like that felt as authentic to me, like that
oh
those
man,
scenes and stuff.
Michael Gandolfini he's going to be a star. His dad would be proud.
Oh yeah.
For those who don't know, Michael Gandolfini is the son of James Gandolfini, Tony Soprano.
Oh, really? See, I did not know that, and
Oh yeah.
like I enjoyed all that. I enjoyed all the stuff with Kingpin's staff. Anytime those scenes, I thought were all great. The police commissioner, like I wanted more of that. I did not want more of Kingpin marriage counseling and stuff. And like anytime that happened, I was just like, okay, I don't care. And I guess it was more to give Daredevil's girlfriend something to do in the show. And
It's the way I saw it is it once again it's becoming very hard to it's hard to talk about the show without talking about the elephant in the room, but I'm going to attempt to. Um, she gets a different perspective of Wilson Fisk than he does, and that's the important thing. The important thing is that she's getting that different perspective, so that way, uh, whenever she ends up actually joining Fisk as their mental health liaison or whatever it is, that it makes sense. It causes some issues between Matt and Heather, which in a case, in the sense they are both right, it is just a lack of communication, but it really is just a lack of communication on Matt's end. um, but that's kind of the point of Heather's character. Um, and
so one of the things
yeah.
I like about Kingpin is and the way D'Onofrio plays him. There's times I start rooting for Kingpin. I'm like, oh, he's gonna make the right decision. He's gonna do. Oh, no, he didn't. And you forget that he's the bad guy sometimes.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, cool. Matt saved his life. Now he's gonna, they're gonna have like some type of like, okay, fine, you could be Daredevil. Oh no, he's gonna kill Daredevil for that, or he's gonna
Mhm.
kill him in his hospital bed, or whatever. That stuff's cool. We're kind of danced around the comparisons between Kingpin and current administration. We'll just put it that way. I tried to ignore that. I know that you could really dig into that and see it's there. I tried to ignore that. What I could not ignore was how many corrupt cops were in New York and just how over the top it was. Like it almost felt like 95% of the police force was corrupt in the show. That's just, and I know there's probably more good cops they just weren't showing them, but that's just the way it felt watching this.
That it is the way it feels, but like you also got to think about the fact that like Kingpin would like whenever we saw the cops, we were seeing them through the Kingpin's eyes, and so he's intentionally surrounding himself with those people.
And I wish there had been more scenes of like mass cop resignations or something. And maybe there was, maybe I forgot, but just something more. The idea that there's more cops on the commissioner's side than we saw, other than at the end where he's like, "Here's my allies," and it's like two cops in the bar or three or whatever. It's just like,
The problem,
Oh,
I,
I definitely don't think that would be. I definitely don't think that would be realistic. I think there would be not those who are like on Fisk's side, but I think it's more realistic that they're just more scared and complacent cops than those who would be brave enough to just have a mass
well,
resignation.
I agree um, with that. The scene that drove me nuts was the end of, I think it was episode 2, where Daredevil is looking for the guy that was, maybe it was episode
mhm.
3, the guy that was on the subway platform that witnessed the attack on the White
Yeah.
Tiger.
Mhm.
and he's like, "Oh, the cops are on their way. Get out of here." And they just find Matt Murdock there. The rest of that scene was bananas. It just was. We're like,
It
okay,
was
we're gonna
it was
kill Matt
awesome.
Murdock.
It was
And
awesome.
the fight was fine. I'm just saying none of it made sense. It would have been, oh, Matt Murdock's here. Okay, watch your back, Matt, and they would have left or whatever. Instead, it's well, this blind guy who did not see our faces, he's got to die because he could identify us or whatever. And it was just like he's blind. why? Why are you? You know,
Well,
I just
he did identify them though.
well, but I'm just saying that it
I,
made no sense. The whole scene, like, well, we just got to put a bullet in his head. He was here. It just even if they were just, oh, we're just cops, we're looking for this guy because he's a witness, and then they just leave, that would have been it. But no, it's like, well, we got to fight and kill this lawyer who happens to be here, and there it would have created so much. If they had killed Matt, it would have created so much consequence. It made zero sense.
Here's the thing, though. With everything else that happens, with the amount of power that Fisk has given them, do you really think that consequences would have happened?
He had not given them that power yet. This is
Right.
episode 2 or 3. They're just corrupt cops. They have not. Kingpin has not even started talking to them about what they can and can't do.
Yeah, but he would have.
He would have, yes, but
Yeah.
not yet. And so that is where I got really frustrated with the show,
See,
followed by the court case and the we gotta get the surprise witness. Everybody gasp when I say a surprise witness, and no one's seen this witness yet. You know, throwing out the whole rules of discovery and how court cases work and all that. I was just getting very frustrated with that whole trial and everything.
There
funny.
are legal and we're getting into my realm now.
Yeah,
Uh
because Caleb did go to school for some of
yeah,
this stuff. So
yeah.
yeah.
There is legal precedence for surprise witness. So that's not necessarily out of the ordinary.
Anyhow, I was getting so frustrated those first couple episodes. It took the bank episode to kind of reset me and say, okay, try to
Mhm.
enjoy this show and pull me back in. And then I kind of enjoyed the second half more than I did the first half. Also, the episode with the guy getting arrested for the shoplifting, that whole
Fiddle
episode
faddle.
sequence. And I'm just like, do you? And again, I'm trying to stop comparing it to the real world because I'm like,
Well,
okay,
then
it's
like
based on
they
a
just
comic
out
book.
of nowhere dropped that one lady is from Latveria just for like no reason.
Yeah,
I didn't notice that. What was that? I must have
When
missed
he
that.
was talking to the one lady at the trying to get his client sentence commuted or something.
Oh, where he gave her the fist bump, and that made me so mad because like, why would a blind person offer you a fist bump? I know Daredevil can
Yeah,
see,
he mentioned
but
something about like her perfume is Latverian or something.
oh, okay.
And then
I
I think even the next episode, Fisk goes to some Latvian Heritage Day or something.
the
yeah,
thumbnail
Like,
for
why
this
is this in the
episode,
Daredevil show?
the thumbnail
yeah.
for this episode almost said "blind people don't fist bump" was going to be the thumbnail. Uh, so anyhow,
But yeah, I mean that's what I was trying to explain, especially to my dad, um, because he said that one of his complaints um, is, and it's one of those things where like if the answer to your complaint um, makes the show worse, then is it really a complaint? Which is uh, with how many heroes there are, like how could this happen when Spider-Man's a thing, when Kamala Khan is just across the border, and it's one of those things. It's like, well, Daredevil is like barely in the Marvel universe, and when Daredevil like kind of participates in the Marvel universe in the comic books, it's not good. uh, so like I always talk about what was going on in Bendis's run versus what was going on in Civil War, and it makes no sense. Um, and so, like, if the answer to your complaint is we need to put more MCU stuff in here, and like, and then Kingpin has to be stopped by the Avengers or whatever, that makes it a worse show in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I definitely don't think you
Yeah,
need more
yeah,
No, yeah.
yeah,
MCU.
I
yeah,
mean,
and he wasn't suggesting that either. That's just him, saying like that's an issue that he had, but at the same time, he as well couldn't think of a better solution. So it's one of those things that, and especially as a Daredevil fan, you just accept that Daredevil's kind of in his own vacuum. Like I think Daredevil is in a tighter vacuum than the X-Men are, honestly.
I think that your Avengers take care of the world crises. Spider-Man's
mhm.
kind of dealing with street crime, and then Daredevil's the next level down, but even below that, the stuff that escapes Spider-Man's notice. This is the real seedy side of town is what
Yeah.
Daredevil's
Yeah.
dealing with.
That being said, it is noticeable knowing that this Daredevil is still part of the MCU. I think to a point you can kind of ask, where's Jessica Jones? Where is Luke Cage? Where
Well,
is
I think that there are.
Mhm.
I mean, those are
so
valid
and
questions,
so?
but I think
Yeah.
there's legal issues still. Like there seems to be some type of moratorium on these characters where, from so many years from the Netflix deal, they cannot use that character. Like it's like say 5 years, whatever it is. So now Daredevil's free, and now the other characters are starting to, Punisher's starting to get
Yeah.
freed up, and now you'll start
I didn't
seeing
know
Luke
anything
Cage,
about that.
Jessica Jones.
That makes
I
sense, but
if there were any, I don't think that they're gonna bother with Iron Fist or Luke Cage just because of the unpopularity of those shows.
Right.
Jessica Jones's show was very popular and on level with Daredevil. I would bet money that Christian Ritter will be in season 2.
yeah,
Probably.
yeah. I think if
Um,
they did Luke Cage and Iron Fist, it needs to be just like a duo show,
Yeah, the
hero
best
for hire
stuff.
show.
Yeah, like so I think that, barring Iron Fist, Defenders was the worst of all those shows. The best parts about the Defenders was like those scenes where it was just Danny and Luke like doing their buddy cop thing, and I'm like, "Oh man, you might have a franchise here."
the other thing I was going to bring up is, Kingpin's like, you cannot be Daredevil, so why didn't Matt Murdock just create a different identity? And I know he's done that in the comic books before. I think Blind Spot or something I was reading about today.
Blind Spot's
Uh,
his sidekick.
Yeah,
I mean,
Blind Spot's just
Blind,
like his Robin sidekick.
Yeah.
or is it Blind Eye or something? Or is it
Blind Owl. Wait, that's not it.
no?
No.
Anyhow, I didn't know why he just didn't just make up a new identity and say, "Oh, I'm still keeping my promise, Fisk," or whatever. That's just me nitpicking. Um,
If I may, I
mhm.
think I think that I think there actually is a reason for that. Um, I think that him picking, like, instead of making a new identity, picking Daredevil back up, you got to think about how much these two men hate each other and how vindictive they are of each other. Him picking up Daredevil is probably just a huge middle finger to Fisk.
Oh,
Like,
sure, sure.
Yeah.
So let me talk about the other plot line that I really had issues with. And this is more on Marvel Comics and their mishandling of the Punisher character.
mhm,
So for those who don't know, it got really popular for police cars to put Punisher logos on the police cars. And so Marvel wanted to distance themselves from that. So they stopped really using Punisher that often in the comic books and going so far as to change his logo, his backstory, everything. Like if you read a current Punisher comic book, it's like 100 miles away from what Punisher
yep.
was,
I think at this point that's why they push Cosmic Ghost Rider so much, is because he's in
Yeah.
space.
So it's like Marvel's trying to have their cake and eat it too. So on one hand, they're like, no, we want to distance ourselves. And then over here, they're like, okay, but we're also going to make it a storyline where all the cops are Punisher worshippers or a Punisher cult or whatever you want to call them. And, the scene where Frank was kind of ripping them at the end was fun, but it also, it just felt like, I don't like when they keep bringing real world stuff into this and trying to make, it just gets weird when they do this. And that's
I
bugging me.
that is odd. I found that to be some of the best stuff. And like I always said that like whenever they talked about like distancing themselves from Punisher and not wanting to associate that, I'm like, well, no, like Frank Castle in the comics hates it whenever the military or or the uh, the police force idolize him, and he's always said to the military and the police force, whenever he comes in contact with them in the comics, he would always say, "I'm not your idol. Look to Captain America."
Yeah.
And so, honestly, instead of distancing yourself from the Punisher, how was this storyline not done in the comics like 5 years ago?
Yeah, it's just weird. Like, the left hand's doing one thing and right hand's doing something completely opposite direction, and it's
Yeah.
just,
Well, it's
I don't
distracting.
know. Yeah, so
Like you can just have them be corrupt cops. You don't have to have them be like, "I love you, Frank Castle."
yeah, I don't know. I went back and forth on that. Um, and then I didn't know there was an end credit scene until I was watching some other review, and they said, and then Punisher escapes. I was like, what?
Oh yeah.
And so I went back and watched that. I thought that scene was kind of silly too.
Yeah,
Where
they
he
give
was
the
like,
dumbest one. They give the dumbest
okay,
cop
I want to shake
to
your
watch
hand.
Frank Castle.
Let me look at my list. What else? Because we've hit most of the topics.
Let's talk about the White Tiger for a second. Like
Sure.
I had two minds about this because I understand a lot of that specific stuff was shot like in 2023, a long time ago. And then the actor passed away and stuff. I I just man, I really
Oh,
feel
that's
like the
right. He
show
did die. I forgot.
the
Yeah.
show did a disservice to the character. Again, I know it's not technically their fault, but I think what they could have at least done to make up for the guy's untimely death is when Matt is talking about all the things that White Tiger did for the community. Is you cut and intersplice uh, the White Tiger actually doing those things,
Yeah.
showing the audience him actually being a hero. Because as far as I can know, as far as I remember, the only time you really see White Tiger in action, other than him walking down the alley and getting shot in the head, is the very first episode, just like an offhanded comment of a couple of the bar patrons watching a CCTV thing of White Tiger beating up some people in a bodega.
Yeah.
So that's like I don't know. I
So
think they
what did y'all think of White Tiger's niece? Because of course she's gonna be the next White Tiger.
yeah. I
Um,
mean,
I'm fine. Like that's. I mean, so that the White Tiger stuff is where the Bendis stuff really comes in, because that actually is a Bendis storyline, and then at the end of that storyline, um, actually, it's actually before White Tiger is acquitted. White Tiger is going to be acquitted, but he dies before the acquittal. I can't remember what the circumstances of his death are.
I think he like try to stop a bank heist or something. There's some robbery or something.
Yeah.
He gets shot or something.
Yeah, but at that point, then his niece goes on to become White Tiger. So I mean, it's one of those things that like I'm not upset with it, because I mean, like, yeah, we did Bendis. That's the next story.
Yeah. Also, and this is probably just because I haven't watched it in so long, Vanessa felt off to me, but I haven't seen season 3, so I don't know what her
they
evolution of her character was.
they changed her character, I think, a bit for the show. Like she wasn't. At least I don't feel like she was this queen pin, quote unquote. You know.
Yeah, she felt like an evil mastermind this whole show. And I guess I'm just remembering back to Daredevil season 1 where she's just an art collector or whatever.
She's just art collector. I mean, maybe she picked up some things from being on Kingpin for a long enough time, but even so, it doesn't. Her characterization didn't ever feel like she had this mastermind, gangster mentality.
I think it was a natural progression, because she did season 1, she definitely was kind of like out of the loop until she says until like I think it's like episode 6, maybe 7. It's somewhere midway through season 1 where she sees Fisk's true colors, and then she's cool with it. And then I don't believe she's in season 2 at all. She comes back for season 3, and at that point, she is closer to what she eventually becomes. So, considering the fact that there's kind of like a time skip, I I definitely see, and this is also coming from, I know how insane Vanessa is, like mentally insane Vanessa is in the comics. Um, that, like, considering the time skip, I think it is a natural progression, and the fact that Fisk has gone away, and why would she not take over? So it's that's not something that I had a huge issue with. I probably would have had a huge issue with however they would have done it,
Uh,
with the other actress.
so speaking of the Fisk family, when I saw the bank robbers and them wearing the mask, I was like, oh, I really would like to see the Rose on this show.
Oh
Yeah.
They don't have the son set up in the storyline. Although I guess Wilson could have a illegitimate kid he doesn't know about or something. But I'd like to see them explore that some more.
That would be
Um,
cool.
Yeah.
yeah. Uh,
Speaking of the
since I
bank
did not
robbers, did you
watch.
see them? Each of the colors was the Infinity Stones.
I did notice that. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's one of those things. It's like, oh, cool. Why is that in a Daredevil show?
Right. It's a little distracting. It's like, oh, oh.
Yeah, it's
It was more so distracting too. They made it very Irish.
yes,
It was
yes.
the Irish gang robbing a
Yeah.
bank on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
No, now
All right.
I will say the thing that I actually like, that it's like it's comic booky but in like a good way. Is he takes out the guy with the red mask and steals the red mask. I'm like, I'm cool
Yeah.
with that. That's comic booky but in a good way.
hmm
Yeah. I like I said, I liked the episode, but it wasn't like a great episode. Just okay. It was kind of like comfort food. I was like, okay, I know what's going on here. It's a bank heist. I get what's going to happen. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And it felt like a weak episode of Leverage or
If
something. Where
that
I was just like, okay,
if that one would have been the opening episode of the series, and then the rest of the show happened, I feel like it wouldn't get as much flack as it has. Just
Yeah,
because at that point it's opening up on a light note, but then it just gets darker.
yeah.
I think it would
Well,
totally
no, no,
be
no,
better.
no. It's a light note, and then immediately cut to Foggy getting shot.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like having such a lighthearted moment in between Foggy getting shot and everything else happening and used and whatever, and then just la 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 Irish gang, whatever.
You know what it should have been. It that episode, they should, if that episode was done 3 years ago, they should have went ahead and released it as a Daredevil special presentation.
That would
Uh,
have been fun.
they I think they need to do these special presentations more often. We have not gotten enough of them. The two that we have gotten are great. I have no doubt that the Punisher one will be great. We need to get these special presentations on
I
more often.
I have said for years they should do an animated series, but live action would be fine. A Marvel
hmm
comic presents, where it's just each week is just whatever.
hmm
Just show a superhero
Just a
that
one shot self-contained story.
That's kind.
characters that they can't support a full series, but hey, I would like to see a Machine Man episode or Deathlock or whatever.
I mean, you're kind of describing like the first 10 episodes of Agents of Shield,
Yeah, but they did
which
it poorly.
they did do
Yeah,
it
they
poorly.
did.
Yeah, no, that's the funny thing about Agents of Shield. Agents of Shield didn't get good until they got away from that.
Yeah. I guess one of my other issues with the show is on some level I'm comparing it to the Penguin, and I thought that show was brilliant from beginning to end and
Mhm.
so
Mm.
well done, and this just feels kind of sloppy.
Yeah,
I guess that's one of my bigger issues is I'm on some level I'm comparing it to the Penguin.
I
So
could see that, and I mean, I'll be honest. Considering how big of a Batman fan I am, and I'm the resident DC guy in these parts, I still haven't seen it, so that's my cross I have to bear, I guess.
I also
Um,
not watch the Penguin, but it just doesn't interest me as a show.
I and I'm not even a fan of the character of the Penguin, but I really
Mhm.
really liked that
Mhm.
Yeah, I heard
show.
it was good. So
Yeah. All right, that's all I had to say. Will I watch season 2? I guess if Caleb makes me, I probably will.
Yep.
Um, so I guess
yeah,
I am watching season 2. I'll be curious to see. You know, I feel like leadership at the MCU. Kevin Feige. I feel like it's going to change soon. he cannot keep having bomb after bomb after bomb, and
You know what? You know what kind of sucks? I feel like the nail in the coffin should be Fantastic Four, but after that most recent trailer came out, every time I talk to someone, they're like, "Oh, it looks so good," and I'm like, What trailer did you guys see?"
yeah, I don't know. I've heard that same thing where everybody got excited for it. I've been
Ugh.
hyping this movie for years. I just felt so disappointed. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, and
Like,
then and then I was like, "I told you I was right," and you're like, "Yeah, you were right for once." I'm like, "No, I'm always right."
I don't know, man. I think Fantastic Four is gonna just be mid at best,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
I think that Thunderbolts. The closer we get to Thunderbolts, I'm like, okay, it doesn't look that bad. It looks all right. The fact that you got me to read the original Thunderbolts, it may skew my opinion on it. But
I
but
just
uh,
ugh.
but I think it'll end up being okay. Like it'll definitely be better than Cap Four. Cap Four was like,
Hmm.
yeah, that was rough.
Cat Four was a Hulk movie without the Hulk.
The funniest thing for me is I thought when it became a Hulk movie is when it got bad. Because like I thought it was fine until Leader showed up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Tim Blake Nelson single handedly ruined this movie. Um,
Ugh.
but no, and I think Fantastic Four, I don't think it looks good. Honestly, I think that wi- it's gonna be so weird because it's Fantastic Four versus Superman. Um,
It's both of them versus Jurassic World Part Two, The Reckoning, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's
uh,
That's
coming
really
out
what it
too.
is.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But it's so weird because let's say that God forbid Superman comes out and it's bad. That gives Fantastic Four a leg up on people saying, well, at least it's not Superman. Um, and the thing is if Fantastic Four it comes out and is bad, and then no one's gonna watch Superman and say, well, at least it's not Fantastic Four because I mean, people are. I've seen so many people look at Superman and they don't no faith in Superman for some reason, and I don't get it. Um, but that's going to be an interesting matchup.
yeah. I've heard a lot of good things about Thunderbolts. I don't know if that is Disney leaking that online, or if people have actually seen and said, you know what, this is actually a pretty good movie. I think
Yeah.
Thunderbolts will be the
Yeah.
surprise movie that's actually pretty good. I think Superman is a question mark. I think it's going to be great, but I understand that James Gunn humor is not for everybody.
Hmm.
So I think that's going to be a big question mark. And then I think Fantastic Four will do what most Marvel movies do and have a
Wet fart.
okay opening weekend and then fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
I mean, what part would be preferable to Pedro Pascal? But that's just me.
Oh man, it's man,
Doesn't have enough depth to me.
I I like Pedro Pascal in like the things that he was in before, and like with Mandalorian and Grogu, uh, like and it's Pedro Pascal. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm cool with that because he is the Mandalorian. Let's cast him in stuff that he's already in, and let's stop casting him in everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing that kind of sealed it for me, is just like for sure, like he was the worst pick for Reed Richards within the trailer. And the reporter guy's like, "Are we going to be okay? Are we going to be safe?" His line delivery was, "I don't know."
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Like,
other character that started to surprise me is the Thing. I thought the Thing would be like the breakout hit of this movie, and every time I see him do anything in the trailers, it just seems so out of character. Like I'm like, oh, that's not the Thing. That's just
Yeah, and
his
it's
voice. Ugh.
I I think it's a writing thing because I love Eben Moss Bachrach in everything. I love the Bear. I love Richie. He was great in Andor as well. Um, I think that is just purely a writing issue because I know that actor can do better.
yeah. Um. So also we got Ironheart about to come out also. So
Oh,
Marvel's gonna have a
Oh
an
yeah,
awesome.
oh, is that hold on? Is that actually? I thought that was like Armor Wars, where like that's not coming out.
No,
Oh, it's
they're
coming out
gonna
this
probably
year.
put it out after like what 3-4 years of it being done.
It comes out
Uh,
June 24th is the release date.
you know what's funny? I actually, as much as I hate on the Ironheart character, I'll be honest. I don't know much about the character. Uh, I just remember that first run. I didn't like it, and I know a lot of people didn't like it, and then that's where I stopped. So I could not tell you
I'll be more
what
interested to see what the hood is, how they do the hood in the show.
oh, is the hood
Anything
gonna be in
else?
it?
Yeah, the one actor that was in the Transformers movie, he rises the Beast one. That guy.
Oh, Anthony Ramos.
Yeah, he's gonna be the hood.
Okay. Surprise! You know, believe it or not, surprisingly, you made me a sliver. A
And
bit.
supposedly Mephisto will finally show up in the show too. That's where
Supposedly, Mephisto's going to show up in every show.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
Um,
think specifically like Sacha Baron Cohen was supposedly cast as Mephisto in the show. We'll
um,
see.
but you know, by saying Anthony Ramos is the Hood, you have made me a sliver bit more excited because I love the Hood and I love Anthony Ramos.
I'm
So
just excited because the Hood action figure that Marvel Legends came out with a couple years ago is hilarious. Like
yeah, I
after this,
remember that one.
it's just a screaming head.
Yeah. Oh, Jim Rash reprises his role as the dean of MIT. That's great.
Oh yeah,
You know what? Ironheart is going to be a phenomenal show if Jim Rash comes in every episode with a different costume to give some irrelevant piece of information.
With a rap song.
Dina Lenaling! It's time to Tina Turner your clocks back. Oh man, that's
oh yes, there's that figure. It's so funny.
Yeah.
now that I think about it, isn't Eyes of Wakanda coming out this year too? Is that a thing?
Yes, Eyes of
Yeah,
Wakanda is also coming out in August. So that's their two big releases, and I assume they'll have a Halloween like surprise announcement.
I think it's zombies, isn't it? The Halloween one this year, or is that next year?
I
Yeah, I
don't
don't
know
know
when
when
zombies
Marvel
come out.
Zombies is coming out. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Like we could get like a Ghost Rider unannounced, something just out of nowhere, weird announcement. Although I think they're
Do
saving
Danny
Ghost Rider
Ketchum.
for Secret War.
Just do Danny
Uh,
Ketch.
yeah, and so I
Yeah.
guess
All right.
uh, I guess the Ryan Gosling announcement for Star Wars kind of eliminates him as their pick for Ghost Rider because I know for a while they were thinking about him for Ghost Rider. Um, I always thought,
Or or if they do go for Ryan Gosling, they'd wait for the reboot after Secret Wars.
yeah,
Or if it was Ryan Gosling, it was Ghost Rider, Wembley, and BC, and a Flaming Mammoth.
yeah. I always thought that Norman Reedus could do a Ghost Rider,
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
mainly because he does ghost he rides motorcycles. So
yeah.
uh,
He would
I
make a good Johnny Blaze.
yeah, that's the thing. Like he could do Johnny Blaze. Like everything that you to the viewer who doesn't know anything about Ghost Rider, everything you know about Ghost Rider is actually a man named Danny Ketch. I know you've never heard of him, but he's in the comics and he's everything you know about Ghost Rider.
It's the same situation with the Flash, where you had Barry Allen and I'm blanking on the other
Wally
guy's name,
West.
Wally West, and everything that you think is Barry Allen is actually Wally West. Stuff that
Yes.
Wally West did in the comics. So anyhow, um, yeah, I would not mind a Norman Reedus, Ryan Gosling Ghost Rider movies where Johnny Blaze is teaching Danny Ketch how to be Ghost Rider. Like,
That would be
you know,
cool. Yeah.
yeah, it'd be cool.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think we've said all we're going to say about Daredevil because we're talking about a Ghost Rider movie that doesn't exist. So, what is next on our docket, Caleb?
So next week is May the 4th. So we are going to be reviewing, I believe it is the first 13 issues of my favorite Star Wars comic by my favorite comic book writer of all time, John Ostrander. First 13 issues of Star Wars Legacy.
Very cool. Are you familiar with that at all, Rec Ship?
No, I haven't kept up with any comic book Star Wars stories much.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
this was back during the Dark Horse days. This is like for lack of a better term, the next generation, where this is like Luke's grandson. Is that
Farther than that, I think
farther than
we're
that?
Oh, is
yeah.
this like oh?
This is
Are
way
you
down
talking
the
about like
road.
Cade Skywalker and stuff?
Yes.
Cade Skywalker. Yep.
Okay, yeah. Like I know some of that.
Yeah, it's
Like
some of my favorite stuff. I love it.
Darth Crate and Darth Talon and all that stuff.
Yep. Look,
Yeah.
they're friends.
So
Yeah, I saw that someone was talking that Darth Talon was going to be in that mall show. I'm like, that's not going to be Darth Talon. That's
I,
gonna be some
I
random
I
person.
I wouldn't be surprised because in George Lucas's sequel trilogy, it was going to be Maul and Talon. So if it's Dave and Sam's show, and especially with Sam Witwer, which by the way, that's actually the main reason I have full faith in that show is not because of Dave Filoni, but it's because of Sam Witwer. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if Darth Talon were to show up, or just Talon, not Darth Talon.
So that'll be our next week's show. We always alternate comic books and a movie or TV show. So our movie for the next time is either going to be Hidden Fortress or Poseidon Adventure, whichever we decide. If we have a busy week, we might go ahead and do our Poseidon Adventure episode, one of the two.
Yeah.
So that'll be coming up. And then if you're playing along at home, we are planning on doing Cobra Kai, the full series, at the end of May. So you might want to start watching now, like I'm going to have to get through all those episodes.
Yeah, I just remembered that.
Mhm.
So I just want to go and throw that out that you got about a month to get through Cobra Kai. So so get watching.
Mhm.
So until next time, I've been Final Monkey,
And I'm Caleb.
Actually, 85.
and we'll catch you next time in the Shark Pond.
See ya.